Imagine being one of the most volatile, unpredictable, yet supremely talented footballers in the English Championship. Adel Taarabt, a player capable of turning defenders inside out and leaving crowds breathless with moments of magic. But like many footballing mavericks, Taarabt's career was as turbulent as it was brilliant. Despite his flashes of genius, Taarabt's career has been defined by contradictions, immense talent weighed down by inconsistency and temperamental behavior. Behind the thrilling footwork, there was a darker side, one of ego, unpredictability, and a constant tug-of-war between his coaches and his fiery temperament. Let's dive into the dramatic events surrounding his career, starting with the pivotal moment when Neil Warnock walked through the doors of Queen's Park Rangers and met the player who would become his greatest challenge. It's 2010, and Queen's Park Rangers are in turmoil. The club had cycled through 6 managers in just over a year, struggling to find stability. In steps Will Warnock, a veteran of English football known for his bluntness and ability to bring out the best in challenging teams. But even Warnock wasn't prepared for what awaited him when he met Adel Taarabt. Warnock had been warned by the QPR staff about the temperamental Moroccan, a player with undeniable talent, but who often clashed with coaches, teammates, and even himself. Taarabt's reputation preceded him, brilliant on the ball, but unpredictable off of it. Yet, when Warnock first laid eyes on him, he wasn't put off. Instead, he saw a player who could change games single-handedly. The QPR staff said, "You'll have your hands full with this one." But Warnock, ever the optimist, had a gut feeling that he could tame the wild nature of Taarabt and harness his raw talent to push QPR forward. Adel Taarabt wasn't your typical footballer. His style was more reminiscent of street football than traditional English play. Every time he got the ball, he played with flair, flicks, nutmegs, audacious shots from distance. It was this unpredictability that frustrated defenders and delighted fans, but it also made him a nightmare for managers who valued discipline and structure. For Neil Warnock, though, there was something different about Taarabt. He saw beyond the recklessness and arrogance, sensing that this player could be the key to unlocking QPR's potential. Warnock wasn't blind to Taarabt's flaws. He just believed in his ability to make the difference. And in one fateful conversation, Warnock promised to stand by him, telling Taarabt he'd play him every game, mistakes and all. That gut feeling turned out to be right, as Taarabt would soon show flashes of brilliance that left even his critics speechless. Before he became the star of QPR, Adel Taarabt's footballing journey had been anything but smooth. Born in Morocco and raised in France, Taarabt's talent was evident from an early age. He joined the youth academy at RC Lens, where his technical ability quickly caught the eye of scouts across Europe. Eventually, he made the move to England, signing for Tottenham Hotspur. But the transition to the Premier League was tough. Taarabt, still a teenager, struggled to adapt to the physicality and pace of English football. His performances were inconsistent, and his off-field behavior didn't help his case. At Spurs, Taarabt often felt sidelined, not given the freedom to express himself the way he wanted. As a result, he found himself on the fringes, spending more time on the bench than on the pitch. Feeling isolated and misunderstood, Taarabt was eventually loaned out to QPR. It was there, under Warnock's guidance, that Taarabt began to find his rhythm, but it wasn't without its share of challenges. It did not take long for Taarabt to become the focal point of QPR's attack. Under Warnock's leadership, he was given the freedom he craved, and he repaid that trust with incredible performances. The 2010-2011 season saw Taarabt light up the championship, producing moments of magic that left fans and pundits stunned. From dazzling solo runs to inch-perfect passes, Taarabt became QPR's main man, contributing 22 goals and several assists, leading the team to the top of the championship table. Fans adored his unpredictability and flair. Warnock built the team around him, allowing Taarabt the space to create and score. But with that success came rising expectations, and Taarabt's fiery temperament started to show, threatening to disrupt everything QPR had built around him. After QPR's promotion to the Premier League, Taarabt was ready to shine on the biggest stage. But the top flight proved more challenging than the Championship. Defenders were tougher, and the space he once found so easily was gone. The flair that defined him was met with fierce resistance, and his performances suffered. Taarabt, who thrived on confidence, began to struggle under pressure. The moments of brilliance from the Championship season became fewer, and frustration set in. Warnock still believed in him, but the reality of Premier League football was starting to weigh heavily on Taarabt. As the team battled relegation, Taarabt's inconsistency became more apparent, and the gap between his potential and his performances widened. With increased pressure came more conflict. Taarabt's ego, once seen as part of his brilliance, now led to regular clashes with managers and teammates. Warnock, who had nurtured him in the Championship, found it harder to keep Taarabt in check in the Premier League. One notorious incident occurred when Taarabt was substituted during a crucial match. Upset with the decision, he left the stadium before the game ended, a moment that highlighted the growing tension between him and the team. As Taarabt's form dipped, QPR decided it was time for a change. He was sent on loan, first to Fulham, where he struggled to make an impact, and then to AC Milan, where he briefly showed flashes of his old self. At Milan, Taarabt had a few standout performances that reignited hope in his career, but inconsistency remained a problem. His lone moves only highlighted how far he had fallen from the player who once promised so much. Taarabt's decline had set in, and the brilliance that once defined him became a distant memory. His career remains one of football's greatest mysteries, a player with immense talent, yet held back by his own temperament. Was he a wasted talent who could have reached the highest levels, or simply a misunderstood genius who never found the right environment to truly thrive? Taarabt's journey is a mix of brilliance and frustration. He was a player who could light up a game with moments of magic, but just as easily fade when needed most. His story serves as a reminder that talent alone isn't enough. Without the right mindset and discipline, even the most gifted players can fall short. After several stints at various clubs, Taarabt eventually found some stability at Benfica. While he never reached the heights many once predicted, he reinvented himself as a more disciplined, deeper-lying midfielder. Though he no longer dazzled with the same flair, Taarabt showcased a maturity that had eluded him in his younger years. At Benfica, Taarabt contributed solidly to the team, showing flashes of his former brilliance, but more often playing a supporting role. It was a far cry from his QPR days, but for Taarabt, it was a chance to extend his career and find some redemption on his own terms. Ultimately, Taarabt's story is a cautionary tale about the balance between talent and mentality. Though he never fulfilled his potential, Taarabt's career is a powerful lesson about the fleeting nature of football genius.